Why are you getting up so early? Ethan asked, curiosity evident in his voice as he watched his wife set the alarm. Without stopping, Harper replied, I've already told you that I'm going to start training. I'll start my morning runs tomorrow. She set the alarm clock on the bedside table and turned off the night light. Good night, Ethan, she murmured, and he murmured something in response before rolling over and staring at the ceiling, the surface of which was softly illuminated by the light of the streetlights outside their bedroom window. As Ethan lay there, he couldn't help but wonder about the sudden fitness craze his wife had embarked on. Sure, they weren't in the same shape as when they first met 5 years ago, but it didn't bother him. People change, right? Youth doesn't last forever. He never criticized her for gaining a few pounds. To him, she was beautiful no matter what. Maybe her friends and the latest magazine trends were getting to her, he mused, before sleep finally took over. The following morning, Ethan woke to find Harper already out of the shower after her run, cheerfully preparing breakfast in the kitchen. He blinked the sleep from his eyes and stumbled to make coffee. Harper, so, are you really going to run every day now? He asked, taken aback as he watched her stir porridge instead of their usual sausage sandwiches. I might skip tomorrow, my muscles are going to be sore, but yes, I plan to run every morning before work, she answered. And so, the first week of running began. It wasn't every day at first, but she gradually found her rhythm, sticking to a regular routine. She also started making healthier food choices. Ethan found himself wondering about the sudden drive for these changes, but he decided not to ask too many questions. The last thing he wanted was to get roped into some kind of new diet plan she might try to impose on him. One afternoon at work, during a lunch break, Ethan found himself listening to a conversation that took an unexpected turn. A buddy of mine just got divorced after 10 years of marriage, one of his colleagues said, sipping his tea. It all started when his wife started dressing differently and taking better care of herself after years of marriage. In the end, it turned out she was doing it all for another man. Ethan frowned, watching his wife, Harper, who had recently taken up running and seemed to be dedicating more time to herself. Was it all about health, or was there something more to it? Doubts crept into his mind. How could he be sure that she was truly just going for a run? The following morning, Ethan made a quiet decision to follow her. It was a Saturday, so with no work obligations, he slept in a little later than Harper. When she left, he quickly got ready, slipping over to the window to watch her walk toward the nearby park. After leaving the apartment, Ethan trailed her at a distance. He stopped at a small coffee stand in the park and ordered an Americano. He kept an eye on Harper, who was jogging laps around a pond, completely alone, no chats, no pauses, just focused running. As he sipped his coffee, Ethan's neighbor, Oliver, approached with his dog. Out for a run with Harper? Oliver joked. Ethan smiled and explained that he was just getting coffee. Oliver mentioned that Harper had been running there daily, and that he usually took walks with his boss in the mornings. Ethan's mind felt a bit clearer now. Harper was sticking to her running routine, but that little seed of doubt remained. One day, as he grabbed coffee before work, Ethan overheard a conversation among a group of young men. They were discussing a friend whose partner had agreed to run every day so they could go on a trip to the sea. A cold shiver ran down Ethan's spine. The conversation triggered a new wave of unease. Could his wife be hiding something? Meanwhile, Ethan's doubts about his wife slowly began to boil over, catching him off guard. One evening, his growing suspicions prompted him to secretly check her phone while she was in the bathroom taking off her makeup. To his relief, he found nothing, no suspicious messages, no strange calls, and her photos seemed quite innocent. Despite the lack of evidence, his frustration increased. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, but the evidence he craved just wasn't there. A few days later, when Harper was working from home due to feeling unwell, Ethan noticed something disturbing. A familiar face, which he had recently seen in a cafe, was holding the door for a courier delivering work documents. His heart skipped a beat, but he dismissed it as a coincidence. However, when he tried to approach the man, he disappeared into the elevator. When Ethan returned home, he found Harper talking to the same man. His suspicions intensified. Out of breath and visibly shaken, Ethan demanded to know who he was. Harper, calm and collected, explained that the man was just a courier named Dima. While Dima was greeting Ethan, he burst into the apartment, slamming the door behind him. Accusations of fraud began to pour in, and the dispute quickly flared up, Emotions on both sides were at their limit. This only made Ethan's paranoia worse. He began checking his wife's phone daily, hoping to find something that would confirm his growing fears. But every time it didn't work out. However, Ethan did not know that Harper had a second phone, a detail that would soon turn his world upside down. His instincts screamed that something was wrong, but without any concrete evidence, he had nothing to contradict her with. His behavior became more and more unpredictable. He snapped at Harper and accused her of things he couldn't prove. And although deep down he sometimes realized how groundless his actions were, suspicions clouded his mind. He began to see betrayal in the most innocent moments. Their once strong marriage slowly but surely began to disintegrate. Harper, feeling the weight of the constant accusations, began to withdraw emotionally. When she tried to explain that his suspicions repelled her, Ethan couldn't understand the harm he was doing. In the end, they parted ways, each going their separate ways. In the following months, Ethan gradually got used to his new daily routine, got used to an independent life. One evening on his way home from work, Ethan got into a traffic jam at an intersection. Trying to distract himself, he turned on the radio and looked around, aimlessly wandering around. And then something caught his attention: a couple crossing the street. There was something strangely familiar about them. A woman dressed in a revealing outfit and high-heeled shoes was laughing with a tall man. As Ethan concentrated, his heart sank. It was Harper, his ex-wife, and the courier he'd dated a few months ago. The man wrapped his arms around her waist with such intimacy that Ethan's chest ached, and they kissed. The realization slammed into him like a wrecking ball. His hands tightened on the steering wheel, his pulse racing with a mixture of rage and grief. But when anger overwhelmed him, he forced himself to breathe evenly and collect his thoughts. What's the point of arguing with them now? The couple drove past, and when the light turned green, Ethan returned his attention to the road. But his mind was still filled with thoughts of confusion and betrayal. Harper had indeed been unfaithful, and to make matters worse, deep down he had known it from the beginning. He felt this: he should have trusted his instincts, sought clarity sooner, and not given free rein to his doubts. But life didn't end there. He was still young, still in the prime of his life, and no matter how painful each experience was, there was a lesson in it. The consequences of betrayal, no matter how painful they may be now, will manifest sooner or later. And Ethan knew that such serious betrayals rarely go unpunished.